Hey everyone, and welcome to Chasing Growth. The purpose is to encourage you with challenging ideas to get better. When you get better, everybody wins. I was listening to somebody the other day talking about this idea of the rule of five, and hopefully we can talk about this in the future, but they were talking about this idea of influencing 5 people in something that you want people to change, and not thinking about changing the whole world, but just 5 people. Can be recycle, can be about respect, can be about the way of seeing politics or argument, etc. Only 5 people, and when you start with those 5 people, those 5 people can tell them another 5, and that's how it continues growing. That's why it's so important for you to get better, because changing the world doesn't start pointing fingers or pointing what is wrong. It start changing yourself. You getting better will make other people better, and that's the idea for these videos and this podcast. So today I want to ask you to subscribe. I want to ask you to subscribe in the podcast and share with your friends. I'll tell them about Chasing Growth. Also, I want to tell you about my little book, Sophia and the Tree. If you haven't yet bought one, please do it. It's available in Amazon, Target, Walmart, everywhere. And you can share the gospel with children and the story of this little girl and her encounter with Jesus Christ. The cool thing is that at the end of the page, in the last page, you can actually document it if somebody received Christ with this book. I heard great stories about it. I was very excited to hear how the book has been used. So hopefully you can use it too and share with a child in your life. So today I want to talk about leadership and communication. If you want to become a great leader, you have to know how to communicate. You have to know how to communicate. Now, if you were a technician and you were working and you were doing your job and you were good at what you did, you were a good salesperson, you did your job well, you're good in a project, good customer service, whatever, and then out of the blue you're promoted, and now you have people reporting to you, you want to be aware of how communication works. If you're still looking to become a leader and we say that leadership is influence, so we always have it all the time, but it's different when people report to you. That when you actually become the boss, things change. So one of the things that you need to be super aware is communication and how it works. Now, one of the things you need to know about leadership and communication is that you are responsible for it. So you as a leader will be responsible for the communication, not the person who received the communication. So for example, you're responsible for the vision. You're responsible for the why, for the what, for the how, for the when. You're responsible for those things, not the person, not the recipient. That's why leaders have to be repeating things all the time. You have to be repeating the message all the time, because it's not enough one time. People forget very quickly. If you say one, well, already say it. You say it one time. Oh, this is our mission. People should know it because I say it once. No. You have to repeat it all the time, every time, day and night, to people to get the message. Because at the end of the day, one principle about communication is that you, as a leader, you are responsible for the communication and the outcome of that communication. There's no way around. So again, you want to become a great communicator, you have to work on these things. You have to be repeating things. You want to become a great leader, you have to be working on this and repeating these things all the time. In other words, leaders talk. You talk all the time. The more people who report to you, the more responsibilities, probably you talk more. It's not enough to say, I'm just going to close my door. I'm not going to talk with anybody. If you do that, you won't be an effective leader. To become a great leader, you have to know how to communicate and become a great communicator, because you are responsible for the communication. Now, there's something called the axioms of communication. There's 5 of them. And I'm going to cover each one very quickly, and I'm going to try to give you an example of each one very quickly. The first one the first axiom is this idea that we cannot not communicate. There's no way for us to not communicate. We're always communicating. And people don't understand this. And when you're in leadership, you have to be aware of this, because you're always communicating. Even silence communicates. Even when you're not saying anything, communicates. Let me give you an example. You're a leader and you receive emails and texts. If you take 4 days to answer those emails or those texts, what's going to happen? People will put information in that communication. I'm not that important. He doesn't care about my message. Maybe he just don't care about me. Why? Because even when you're not answering, and again, You may say, but I didn't say all those things. I didn't say you were not important. I didn't say that I don't care about you. But silence communicate, and people will fill those gaps with whatever. So as a leader, you have to be aware of that, and you have to create some things or some boundaries or systems that will help you with this. So, for example, I repeat people all the time. I will answer right away, at least to acknowledge that I hear, I listen, I receive the message. I may not have the answer, but I will reply. And I do it all the time. You see, quickly, I do it very quickly. Somebody send me an email, say, I will get back to you soon. That eliminate the opportunity for that person to fill the gap with other information that I'm not giving, but I may be communicating, not intentionally, but I may be communicating because my silence. So we always communicating as a leader. We have to become aware. It's not enough to say, well, that's the way I am. I don't answer right away, or I do it this way. No, you have to set up processes and systems that will help you to eliminate that, because again, you are responsible for the communication, and you are always communicating, and you are the leader. The second one is content and relationship. This is very important because um, the content and relationship have to do, for example, with culture. I came to the United States from South America, and I speak Spanish, or what I call Castellano. And other countries, they speak Spanish well, but they speak in a little different. And I would use some words that were like, not the right content in the place, even not the right relationship. Not because they were Hispanic, other people here in the state, they understood what I said. And the content itself, it was incorrect because they used those words in a different way. One time I was in a party and I said something in Spanish thinking that everybody will understand. And nobody did. And actually, the reaction was silence, awkward silence, because apparently I said something really bad that I didn't know it means that bad in that language. I mean, in Spanish for them, it meant something horrible, and I say it. Secondly, I didn't know these people very well. We didn't have a relationship, and I just say it. That was a mistake. So you, as a leader, you have to become aware of this, the content of what you're saying and the relationship. I always remember this a leader who said they were trying to implement something, and he said crazy things, maybe with good intention, but he didn't have the relationship with employees, and it went south. So you remember that. Second, punctuation or the sequence of the acts, or what you're saying, the right order of things. Now, again, I'm an immigrant here in this country, and for some reason, I love this country, but for some reason, people use so many sayings. And here in the South, there are always these sayings that I don't understand. And one time I was with a group of friends, and for me, it was a saying, I want to say something, and actually I said, instead to say a party pooper, I said, I don't want to be a poopy party. And there was silence for a second, and then everybody just laughed. I didn't know why they were laughing, because in my head, it meant the same thing it meant the same thing, but it wasn't. Just because I changed the orders of the work or the punctuation of it. So you have to be aware of that. Culturally, in a place that can be very important. What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say is in order. It's in the right order according to what you're trying to say. One word can make a big difference. The other day, my wife received an email from somebody and used the word, you can become the best friend of such a person. And even we knew the intention of the message, it felt very weird. Even being a good friend of somebody is not bad. The fact that this person used that word made the whole message super weird. You have to be aware of this. Please, as a leader, remember, you're responsible, and you have to be aware of the punctuation and the order of the acts or the what you're communicating. Then you have number 4 is digital and analogical communication. So digital means that, for example, you're saying something, that's what you're saying. You're just saying what you're saying. The car is red. Fact. That's what it is. But that's the second part, the mental part, how people give interpretation to that. The part that is not digital, the part that is not specific. And The best example that I found for this is when people say, God bless your heart. Here in the South, they use that a lot. And a lot of time means uh, you did a very bad job. Hopefully you're going to get better. God bless your heart. The word itself, the words, God bless your heart, digitally speaking, is great, right? God bless your heart. You will think it's encouragement. But in reality, what it means is something completely different. You have to be aware of that because, for example, I know that a lot of time when people tell you God bless your heart, it's not because they're encouraging you, but they're saying things like that to tell you, you little one or you young one need more experience to do this, etc. Or poor you, right? So you need to be aware of this because if I go to somebody and somebody does something great, and they did a great job, and I'm trying to encourage them, saying, "Oh, God bless your heart," because the way it's used, the translation, how people use it here in the South, they may think I'm making fun of them, or they may think that I thought the work is not that good. I hope that makes sense. So God bless your heart. And then you have systematical and complementary. This is very simple. Symmetrical and complementary. So symmetrical have to do with people's in the same level. So for example, team players, they're in the same level. They have a way of communicate because they understand the rules of the same level of communication. But then the same team player may not communicate the same way he does with a team player in the same level than their boss. That communication needs to change, and we have to become aware of this. There's something horrible that always happens, especially in churches, when you have a young pastor and he want to speak cool and young and all that stuff, and they will say words that a lot of times they're disrespectful for an older generation because they don't understand the symmetrical, maybe with young people that go a way, but with adults, which they deserve the respect, they don't. There's no complementary. That doesn't add up that you use in those words, and it happen all the time, and you can have such a big conflict because of this. Again, these are the 5 actions of communication, and you can go online and find all kind of examples. If your team is having problems with communication, I want to encourage you to get this printed out and play some games about it and make it something that you talk about it all the time, so people start learning about this because it will help them with the communication. So let me recap very quickly. If you want to become a great leader, you have to learn to communicate and communicate well because you are responsible for the communication, nobody else. As a leader, you have to be repeating things all the time to make sure that communication is received and the outcome of it is what you expect. So you're responsible for that. And learning the actions of communication will help you in a big, big way. Now, one thing that you have to remember as a leader when it's about communication, it never ends. You're always learning. You're always getting better. So it's not such a thing as I know this and I know how to communicate. No, it's always changing. You're always discovering things of how to communicate with people. I'm amazed with all these years that I keep finding better ways to communicate, to be more effective. One of the things that have changed, for example, to make sure my tone is always with a specific conversation is very specific. And with other conversation, it change according to all the things they're learning. This can affect, and again, this is not just for what you say, the way you dress, the way that you move your face, your hands. All these things impact your communication and you can get better. So I hope this video bless you and encourage you to get better in communication. If you want to become a great leader, you have to learn to communicate. And again, it's not enough for you to say, well, I'm in accounting, I'm a leader here, but they need to do their job. The reality is that doesn't work. You have to learn to communicate and communicate well. God bless you. God bless your heart. Have a great week. And tune to this YouTube and this podcast for next week. You can email me to chasinggrowth@gmail.com. Chasinggrowth with 1G, and I will be happy to answer your email. God bless you. Have a great week. Keep growing. Keep advancing. Thank you.